Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show this Thursday, July 27th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. First thing I want to show you guys is this chart. I need to move my head a little bit. There you go. This is a federal interest expense. And we can see what happened in 2020. How it's shot up and that red dotted line, that's projected. That hasn't happened yet. Just look at the blue line leading up to where it changes to a red dotted line. It's going straight up. Why? It's because they've raised interest rates so high. What this is the interest that they pay on the debt, the U.S. debt outstanding. And before they did this interest rate hike policy, I was saying, amongst others, that they can't raise interest rates. They can't normalize interest rates. And the reason I said why was because the outstanding debt that they owe would be absolutely enormous, the amount of billions that they would have to pay on that debt, and it's not sustainable. This is what I said. But they did it anyway. They've raised interest rates, and they've also raised the amount of interest expenses that they have. Just like everybody else out there now has to pay more on their credit cards, on the debt outstanding on their credit. The government has to pay more on their outstanding debt because they've raised interest rates. And look at it go up. It went whizzing right on by 800 million, 900 million. It's heading toward $1 trillion. 1,000 billion. That's what it's headed toward. Not quite there yet. You know, there was a time when, not too long ago, just well within everybody in my audience's lifetime, unless you're a little kid, there was a time, it wasn't very long ago, when the whole kit and caboodle of the budget and everything that the government had to, all their expenses and everything else, didn't cost as much as they now owe in interest payments. And they can't afford this. They cannot afford to do this for very long. This is a hot potato. And what I mean by that is you can grab a hot potato if you don't hold it in your hand very long. And so this raising interest rates is a hot potato. And what we're seeing here is, if they hang on to this, it's going to burn them. They have to bring interest rates down in order to pay the expenditures on their debt, their interest payments for the government. Otherwise, it's just going to get totally out of control. And so this is a have to. They have to lower these interest rates back down. And I think they know that. This is a hot potato. They can do it for a little while. They can do it for a very short period in time. And it's going to cost them $1 trillion to do it, just even for a very short period in time. But they certainly can't extend this over a longer period of time, because you see this extra that they owe, this extra probably $940 billion extra on top of all of their other expenses and these interest payments. There's going to be interest on the interest. This is the thing. It accrues. We're at the end game now, guys. And if this chart doesn't show you that we're at the end game, then this is the end game. Now that the Feds raised this last raise, they are so cornered. And what happens next now that they're cornered? Well, now, if they decide that they're going to repair the damage that they're creating to the economy, they're going to cause a hyperinflation. It's going to be a fast hyperinflation. And if they decide to keep trying to raise rates and keep going higher and further with this, well, the U.S., first off, the the U.S. debt is just going to go unhinged because they can't. They're caught. They're trapped, guys. They're trapped at this point, and they've bought a little bit of time to keep us from hyperinflation. We were headed toward hyperinflation. Remember when when the CPI was going up to the moon? It was passing 8% and heading up higher. It scared them to death. They knew they were heading toward hyperinflation, and they knew they had to get things under control. Well, it's bought them a little bit of time. It's caused some disinflation. Bought them a little bit of time. Now, in other stories, while the system's coming crashing down around us, in other stories, because now we're just waiting. Now it's just a waiting game, guys. They've done this last interest rate hike. If they're foolish enough to even try another one, who knows, but it wouldn't really matter anyway because they've done the damage now. Now it's a waiting game. We're waiting to see what's going to break in the system. What too big to fail is going to break and bring the Fed down to its knees. And believe me, it's not very long from now. You're not going to have to wait very long. Bud Light, this is a different story. Bud Light is going to lay off hundreds of employees in wake of their disastrous marketing campaign. What do I think of this? Hundreds of employees sent packing. I feel sorry for these employees. They did not deserve what's happening to them. The employees. They got families to feed. They had secure jobs, and now they just, okay, time to walk. The company sends them their pink slip. What are they going to do? How are they going to feed their families and stuff? Things are really getting serious and getting tight, and I feel sorry for these employees that have lost their jobs. Now, this is something that I didn't know, and it's very, very interesting. Global livestock industry supports the livelihoods of 1.3 billion people. That is a lot of people. I never knew that the global livestock industry around the world supported that many people. I never in my wildest dreams thought that many people work at things like meat, dairy, eggs productions. But here it says combined together, meat, dairy, and eggs make up 18% of the average person's diet. And it supports 1.3 billion people, the industry. That just amazed me. The staggering numbers of that. I found it absolutely amazing. Now, we got congressional hearings on unidentified flying objects, UFOs, happening. It says Congress pursues a study of mysterious sightings. Retired U.S. whistleblower reveals alleged government cover-ups and brutal retaliation tactics. U.S. Congress has held public hearings on claims that the government is concealing a long-standing program that retrieves and reverse engineers unidentified flying objects, UFOs. And if you guys out there, I'm going to use a few UFO terms. One of the terms is called a flap. A flap is when a whole bunch of UFOs are flying over your community and all kinds of people are seeing them. That's called a flap. When there's a lot more than usual activity going on. And you see a lot of them in the sky flying around. A lot of people are seeing them, taking pictures and stuff. That's called a flap. A flap. And the next thing is if you ever see things in the sky at night and with flashing lights and stuff on them, there's certain lights, certain color lights that airplanes never, ever, ever have. But they're very common with UFOs. Orange-colored lights. You see an object flying around with orange lights? You're not looking at an airplane. Because airplanes don't have orange lights. Reddish orange lights. But UFOs very often have reddish orange lights. Certain other colors like purple. You see purple lights on it, or bluish looking light, bluish, greenish, funny looking lights? And the light intensity might have a different than looking at a regular aircraft or whatever. It's a little bit different. You know? There's a number of things about these UFOs that, and also I wanted to point out that this term they're using here, when they're talking about retrievals and reverse engineering, tell you what reverse engineering is. It's the claim that the UFOs have left debris or pieces of themselves or whatever on the ground. The government recovers those pieces, takes them in, and then they bring in scientists to examine them and find out how it works. And that's called reverse engineering. And they're hoping to gain new, like maybe the metal is a different metal that we don't have here on this planet, or maybe the metal is that. The study of that and trying to figure out how it works and to duplicate the technology is called reverse engineering. So they're making the claim here that they have a long-standing program that not only retrieves these unidentified flying objects, it might be from gosh knows where, but they also reverse engineer them, leading to technological advancement probably. That's the claim here. It says 3 retired military veterans testified on Wednesday before a House Oversight Subcommittee. That was the Congress's latest foray into the world of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, the term the U.S. government uses instead of UFO. It says the U.S. government has begun taking the issue of UAPs more seriously in recent years. Well, I disagree with that. Because in the early days of the UFOs, the government did take it very seriously. And this isn't the first study into the UFOs. Going all the way back like into the 1940s, there was studies like Project Sign, Blue Book, Grudge. These were different U.S. studies of UFOs going all the way back before most of the people in my audience were alive. And they did take it very seriously back then. But I don't think they figured out just what they're dealing with. Because, of course, they probably, if they are into this, it depends, you know. This is all alleged so far. I mean, they never really come out and said, hey, you know, we're really doing this. It's whistleblower stuff. But it's up to you or the audience's opinion. What do you think? But anyway, it's here for your observation. U.S. congressional hearing on UFOs. Now, as far as myself, I think that this is... I'm a believer. You know? But that's just my own personal opinion. I know there's a lot of people out there say, this is just nonsense. Anyway, guys, we're going to take a look at the silver price today right now. Boy, she took a real big swoop downwards there. 70 cents down. It just took a sudden plummet. 24.19 right now and bouncing back. Taking a look at gold. 1946, and it's down 25.70. You know what? One of these times, you're going to see the big swoop down like that, and they're going to buy it. Well, wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be hilarious? I'm saying one of these times, if this is the time that they just knocked it down so that they could buy up all the physical. I've told you guys, I've warned you that I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to knock it down for a very short period of time, a big smash, probably a bigger smash than this, and then they're going to scoop up everything that's left. Because when they get it down to the point where there's not that much left, where they figure to themselves, okay, it's going to run out anyway, but it's going to take a couple more months, but it's going to run out anyway. It's down to just the scrapings are left. We want it all for ourselves, all what's left. And they're going to clean out the pot. You know, in the old days, you know. Mama used to cook a pudding. The kids got to clean out the pot. Well, that's what's happening with gold and silver. When they get it down to where it's just a pot to be cleaned out, all the richies are going to come in there and just scoop it all up in the end. And then there's not going to be none left. Because they know that it's not enough. It's going to run out anyway in a month or two down the line. The jig's up at that point. Once we hit the point where the jig's up, they're going to throw their hands up in the air and they're going to say, hey, we can't run this Ponzi scheme or this manipulation any longer with gold and silver, because it's the manipulation with the price of gold and silver, with the paper short contracts, GLD, SLV, it relies totally that there is available physical metal on hand. If there's no physical metal on hand, there's just tons of paper. What's the paper worth? Nothing. It's just paper if there's no metal to back it up. I mean, it was supposed to be a derivative product. That means the paper derives its value from the actual physical metal. If you don't have any physical metal, then the paper doesn't have anything to derive its value from. Anyway, moving on, taking a look at cryptocurrency today. We're seeing Bitcoin price at 29,320 and Ethereum at 1869 and XRP at 72.2 cents. So, actually the cryptos are doing pretty good. They're holding pat in this very, very difficult period we're going through. Just before the crunch comes, just before something breaks, and I'm expecting something big's gonna break very soon now. Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 20 points today at 35,540. Taking a look at crude oil, we're at $80.08. It's up $1.30. We've cracked 80 and now we're heading for 90. And heaven forbid something happen over there around the oil-rich countries over there around the Persian Gulf region, on that area over there where all the oil comes out. Heaven forbid anything happen over there, and it's a hotbed for war. Heaven forbid anything happen. I hate to tell you what this price would go to if something happened to cut off the oil supplies and stuff. And we're in such a turbulent period right now that it could very well happen. Can we say $150 oil? And I mean, if it's already like $3.50 at the pump for regular gas, can we say $7? $8? Oh, heck, let's just make it $50 a gallon. You know, I mean, at a certain point, I mean, the people are just going to not have the money anyway. They're draining us. I mean, once you're drained, you're drained. Doesn't matter if it's $1 million a gallon. If you can't afford it. And that's the way with them. Everybody is going to be in the end. And so are they just going to say, okay, that's fine. Yeah, take our meals away from us. Take our gasoline away from us. Take everything away from us. We'll have nothing and we'll be great and happy. I don't think it quite works that way. Bonds and rates today, we're looking at rising yields. And it's quite substantial. The U.S. 10-year's risen 9.3 basis points at 3.94. And the U.S. 30-years at 3.98 or 3.99. And it's risen 6.9 basis points today. And the U.S. dollar index is rising too, but not. It's starting to slope off a little bit. It's rising some though. It's at 101.70. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Really, you guys are fabulous. You guys are great. Because for one thing, you guys are on top of this stuff. An awful lot of, I'm going to tell you, if you go out today shopping or whatever, 99% of the people that you meet out there don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. Yeah, they do know there's a war over there in Ukraine. Yeah, they do know we got a few problems in the financial system, but they don't have a clue what's coming. And so they're going to get broadsided, and they're all in dollars is another thing. They don't have anything that's not anything out of the dollar-based system. They don't have anything out. And so the dollar-based system, I hate to tell you guys this, but really is setting up now, and it's really starting to look like, see, for the last number of years, I've been thinking it's going to be kind of a slow hyperinflation. I don't think so. I think we're going into a fast hyperinflation. You know, when things come faster, they disrupt things even more. When things come in too fast, where there's no adjustment made, it just wallops you. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Have a great day. Bye-bye.